Welcome to AVP's Orville Chats. My name is AVP. Stay tuned for today's episode. Episode 8. Command Performance in the Midst of a Firestorm. What do we do when our leadership is tested? Hi guys, it's me, AVP, back with another topic for you guys. Today's topic is all about what do we do when our leadership is tested. In the episode's Command Performance in Firestorm, Alara has two situations where her leadership is tested to the brink. First, she has to determine whether or not to follow orders given to her by the admirals when Ed and Kelly are unexpectedly disappeared due to the Cavalon. Or later when random scary things start showing up, including the spiders in the conference room, clowns in the ship's corridors, and much more. The music intensifies and we feel like our palms are sweating alongside her. What do we do when our hearts are nearly beaten out of our chest? We could step back away and say we will follow the orders that we are given, and we back away. Or do we stare the danger in the face and say that I'm in charge and let's face this danger? Now here's the thing, I myself have had moments where I could have backed away from the scary situations or followed orders given to me. But like I said, no one else can make the final decision but you. We might seek advice like Alara does, but we have to make the final decision ourselves. Some advice that we are given, sometimes it's good advice, sometimes it's in between advice. So we have to make the final decisions ourselves, because everyone else might be saying, hey, go for it, or everyone might be saying, don't go for it. You yourself have to determine what's best for you in those kind of situations. We don't know, but we have to live with the regret if we didn't step in, or we have to live with ourselves knowing, yeah, I did make the right call. I did make the right decisions in those kind of cases. But the thing is, we will never have those kind of situations that Alara herself faced, because we don't have to face those scary clowns, hopefully, or the giant spiders, or the fires, or where our commander and captain are both taken away from us. But here's the thing, we have to make sure we are making the right call that we can live with without knowing that we are doing something that we wish we could have done something. I'm going to tell you guys a story myself of when I chose to step in and let danger not overpower me, where I let danger not have the final say, where I myself had the final say. Now, here's the thing. Let's go back to 2004. I'm 19 years old. I've just graduated from high school the year prior, and I'm volunteering at my old elementary school. And I'm volunteering with a bunch of kids that are there getting ready for graduation from kindergarten. And one of the children is being put in the corner, so to speak, and said, you stand against the wall because you're on punishment. And I noticed that this child keeps inching further and further away from the door. And I'm like, wait a minute, something's not right here. Now, I'm just a volunteer, remind you. I am not getting paid for this. I'm basically just a volunteer helping out the various teachers that are the kindergarten teachers, because that was my profession choice at the time. So I said, okay, what do I do? And I just kept noticing the kid getting further and further and further until he was literally outside the door. And I literally said, you know what? I'm going to go follow this kid to find out what is he doing? Why is he inching and further away from the door and heading outside? And another child who was volunteering, which I think he was in the 5th grade if I remember correctly, sees what's going on and he's trying to follow as well, thinking maybe he can coax the child to come back, that the child will go with him because it's one of his peers, so to speak. But I tell this kid, who's, like I said, in 5th grade, I believe, and I tell him, no, you're going to get in trouble. You go back. You go get help. You go do something about this situation. But I will keep following him. You just go get help. Go do something. I'll keep following him. You just go back. I don't want you to get in trouble. So that kid goes back. The younger child keeps wandering further and further away from the school property. Now here's the thing that's so scary. Our elementary schools that are there, they're not that far. They're maybe at the most 2 miles away from the local parkway. If you ever hear people mention the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, and there's this bridge near there, that's not too far away from where this situation took place. I myself am scared to death. And I will be honest, I am scared to death of that bridge. I can be in a car riding along, no problem. But if I have to walk across that bridge, it's like my palms sweat. I get all clammy. I get scared. I'm just like in panic mode. But here's the thing. In this kind of situation, I see that this kid is heading further and further away, and he's heading down this parkway. And that parkway is headed toward rush hour traffic time, almost around lunchtime. Oh boy, big disaster. And it's also very, very hot at the time. It's summertime. And around here, when there's summer, people tend to drive a little bit crazier, and they're not as cautious. And they're not expecting to see any children or any other human beings out there on the roadways. And this kid is literally heading down this parkway. And I am chasing him down as fast as I can. Now, I'm not the fastest runner, mind you, but I'm going as fast as I can to follow after him to make sure he's not hurt, he's not in danger, that everything's going to be okay. And I'm trying to say, hey, come back, it's going to be okay. And he's like, no, I want my mommy. And I'm like, sweetie, I can't give you your mommy. You need to go back to school, or else your mommy's going to worry about it. He's like, no, I want to go to my mom. And we're also not too far away from a local shopping center where there's a Walmart at the time only. They've since expanded it since then, but at the time there was only like a Walmart, some fast food places, and a couple of other things. But this is very scary. And I'm trying to reassure this kid, hey, it's okay to come back. And I start to turn to go back toward the school. And I think this child realizes, wait a minute, this is the only way I can go back. I'm stuck between two worlds, so to speak. Do I follow this nice lady that I really don't know very well? Or do I keep going? And meanwhile, there's some drivers that are seeing what's going on. They're seeing me chasing down this kid, and they're trying to get him to go back with me. But this kid, I think he has in the back of his mind, wait a minute, these guys are strangers. I don't know who they are. I know this girl a little bit more. And now he's scared. And he's stuck between two worlds again. Do I follow her? Do I follow them? What do I do? And so eventually, a school bus driver sees the whole plight and everything like that. And these men were able to get the little boy somewhat tackled down. And they brought him back to me. And the bus driver saw the whole ordeal taking place. And the bus driver was kind enough to say, hey, where did you guys come from? I can drive you back to your school. I can drive you back to where you were. And I tell them we're at such and such school. And they drive us back there. And when we get back to the school, and I'm basically calming down the little boy on the bus. I have him on my lap because he's small enough to sit on my lap and everything. I said, hey, it's okay, because school buses here in this area don't have seat belts at the time. So kids have to either sit on a seat or they can sit on somebody's lap. And I'm sitting on my lap saying, hey, it's going to be okay. Don't worry, you're going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And basically, by the time we pull up into the school's parking lot, there's the vice principal and there's also the child's teacher. And basically, the vice principal mouths to me after they take him out of my arms. He just mouths the word thank you to me, because literally this kind of situation could have ended so much worse. As far as I know, the child was still okay afterwards. He may have been punished afterwards, but the thing is, it was all over with. But the thing is, because I chose to step in and chose to overcome my fears and say to this little boy, it's okay. You can be fine. Nobody's going to hurt you. It's all going to work out. That it all worked out for good. I didn't have a moment to go seek advice of others. I really didn't. I literally had to just act. And who knows what would have happened if I had not stepped in. I mean, that's the thing that's so scary about this whole ordeal. I mean, here it is that it's almost over 17 years later. That is still very, very frightening to know this could have been so much worse if I had chose to let the fears cripple me. I chose to let my fears not cripple me. I chose to step in and tell this little boy, it's okay. Nobody's going to hurt you. To overcome my fear of that bridge and bring the little boy back and get him safely back to school where no harm was to him or me. All we had was a little bit shaken up raw nerves, but other than that, we were just fine. But like I said, we don't always have those kind of moments where it's all going to turn out well, but this case is a happy ending, which I'm glad to report. I mean, like I said, Alara herself, she had these situations like, what do I do? Everybody's rooting against me. She even pissed off Lamar and Gordon. They said, oh, I don't want anything to do with you, and everybody hates her. And then she has to go backtrack and says, you know what? No, I am going to be a leader. I am going to step in. I am going to save Ed and Kelly. I'm going to say, screw what the admirals say. I'm going to go rescue our commanders. And because she did that, it paid off in the end, really. So I'm glad she did. Like I said, those kind of situations, you just have to act very, very quickly. And we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I've also had other situations where not as scary as the one I just described. But the thing is, this one was the first one that came to my mind when I was thinking about this. Because, like I said, I could have not done anything. But I chose to step in. I was just a volunteer, mind you. I'm not getting paid for it. I'm just helping out because that's what I want to do. And I'm trying to do something in between before starting college. And so, guess what? It all worked out in the end. But here's the thing. My leadership's gotten tested a lot over the years. I mean, people want to undermine my authority because they think of me as the cute little female. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a very tall female. I'm the average height of most females. I'm 5'5", and I look very, very young for my age. And because I look very young for my age, sometimes people don't want to take me as seriously as they do, say, someone that looks much older. And so I have to work almost double hard, sometimes triple hard, to prove to people, no, I'm not just a baby face, that I am to be taken seriously. I do know what I'm talking about. I am a strong leader, and nobody's going to walk all over me. You're not going to just treat me as second rate, so to speak. That I am a leader, and nobody's going to undermine my authority. I mean, when I do jobs that I've done, like volunteer work, I have to use my voice to speak up, to say, no, you're not going to walk all over me. I mean, people try to, but I have to let them know, no, you're not going to walk all over me. I'm not just a little pushover. And I think that was the case with Alara in these kind of episodes, that she had to show everybody, yeah, I'm very young. This is one of my first assignments and everything like that. But you know what? Screw it. I'm going to step up. And because of that, Ed rewards her for her efforts. He gives her one of the commendation stars. I believe he calls it the Sapphire Star. So because of that, she gets rewarded for that. I mean, obviously the admirals were not going to like what they found out, to find out that she did undermine them, because I don't recommend that anyone undermine authority if possible. But here's the thing. In this kind of situation, she chose to say, I'm going to step up. I'm going to undermine these authorities because she is the one that's next in charge, because Bortus is in a compromising situation where he's waiting for his newborn egg to hatch, and she has to basically be thrust into those kind of moments to say, am I going to step up, or am I going to run? What am I going to do? And so she chose to step up, and it played off very, very nicely, and it was written so well. And I'm glad she was able to do that, because let's face it, leadership is tested all the time. And some people think of it as just, oh, it's just a big joke, or it's just something that military people do. No, I myself am not a military person. Like I said, with this volunteer situation that happened to me back in 2004, I had to act very, very quickly. I had to just say, you know what, I'm going to overcome my fears of this bridge. And even though I'm scared to death, I'm going to just step up and just go for it, so to speak. So I'm glad that we get to find out about people like Alara, who's not afraid to step up and everything like that. So that's great. I'm glad she did that. And even when I think about it, that the other characters have had similar situations where they had to step up or step down. And each time they've chosen to step up, like Ed himself didn't know what he was going to do, but he chose to step up and say, you know what, I am going to be a leader. Nobody else is understanding what I'm doing, but you know what, I'm going to show people that yes, I am a leader. Don't underestimate me. I am worthy to be called captain of this ship. I am worthy to be in charge of all these people that are under me, and they all deserve my love and respect because I don't undermine anybody. I respect everybody's opinion. I treat them as equals. So that's the thing that's so great, that I think a true leader is willing to say, okay, yes, I hear the advice, but I have to make my own path. I mean, who knows? We never know who's going to be watching us, because those kind of leadership moments can, like I said, make or break us. They can make us a strong leader, or they can make us very weak and regret saying, oh, I should have done something. But here's the thing, with those kind of moments, for me, myself, my leadership was tested, but I have never regretted a single thing that I've done with my leadership. I've always said, you know what, I'm glad I did something. Like I said, in the case with this little boy, I'm glad I stepped up and I said, okay, I'm going to overcome my fears. I don't like this, but okay, sure, let's go for it. Let's overcome this fear. And yeah, it turned out great in the end. So I'm grateful for that. But thank you all so much for listening to this episode about leadership, how it can be tested and it can make or break us. And like I said, some of you may have similar stories where your leadership was tested, maybe not to the extreme like Alara or even me, but who knows, it may have pulled off in a way that you didn't expect it to pull off. But you know what, good for you. I'm cheering for you. I'm glad that you were able to say, screw what other people think, I'm going to step up anyway. So thank you all so much for tuning in so much. The next episode is episode 9. It's going to be discussing about how the Orville series has been a sanctuary for many of us, especially with this pandemic that's been going on since 2020. We didn't think it was going to be as much as it was, but the thing is, even before we had the shutdown of everything, the Orville series has in many ways become a sanctuary. It's become a safe haven where we can come and hang out with other people, where we can laugh and joke and escape the troubles that are going on around us. I mean, there's so much chaos going on in the world, but we need something stable in our lives. And in many ways, the Orville series has become the sanctuary. It has been something stable for us in the midst of chaos. So stay tuned for that episode, guys, because I think you guys are going to enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it as well. Because let's face it, it was a very special time to know Orville was something that we could turn to when everything else was falling apart around us. That it was something to make us laugh, something to make us just, escape everything that was going on around us. So that's a huge shout out to our cast and crew. They are so amazing with that. So thank you guys for that, because without it, we would have just been going through the blahs of life. So thank you all so much for tuning in. This is AVP, and I hope you enjoyed this episode about the Alara's leadership being tested, but also how I myself, AVP, your Orville sister, friend, and community team member, had a moment where she had her own leadership tested, and it could have made or broken me. But I said, you know what? No, I'm not going to let this define who I am. I'm going to make me strong, even though I'm scared to death of something. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And I love you guys so much. If you have any suggestions for any future episode topics, or any ideas or questions or comments, please feel free to comment and contact me, because I'm willing to hear your feedback. Because like I said, I am just one person out there in the universe, just trying to do my small part to share my insight about being in the Orville community and things that I've observed, seen. So please feel free to contact me and let me know what you think. I mean, this is not just my community, it's all of our community. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys another time. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, day, whatever. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.